Time I go live, I'm cut off at the beginning. The sentence I say is like in the middle of it. So I said I wasn't going to get political on my channel, and I hope anybody that is turned off by the beginning of this stays until the end because I want this to be a message for everybody. And I'm going to start off by saying I'm a registered independent. I have been since I was 18. I genuinely wish with all my heart we had more choices in this country, first of all. And what happened with the Democratic nominee was not very democratic. She wasn't nominated. And it is just heartbreaking hearing so many people be so torn up over something that they can't change, and it's because of the rhetoric from one side, like from going from calling Trump Hitler one week to saying, less than a week later, we're going to peacefully transfer power to him. Like, but you already incited so much inside people's hearts by calling him Hitler. And why would you like peacefully relinquish power to Hitler? This divide and conquer started taking place like a good decade ago in our country. And once again, I'm a registered independent. I do believe in systemic racism. I do believe that certain races go through a lot more just because of the color of their skin systemically. When you see the numbers of like who gets pulled over in certain cities, like it's undeniable. They're 13% of the population that they get pulled over, exponentially more. I understand some of them might commit some crimes sometimes, but there's a lot of this rhetoric in a lot of the pages that I follow, where women are saying basically because of what happened last week that they are only supporting women-owned Black businesses, and I think it's great to support, like, American businesses, period. We need to take our country back by voting with our dollars. So I absolutely stand with people who wanna choose to spend their money on small business owners, people that manufacture and make things here only. I think that's terrific. It's great. I would do that if we could afford to. Unfortunately, it's not in everybody's budget to be able to do that, right? And I think that one huge thing that gets missed here is our food security. The reason why bread and cereal cost so much right now is because of the war going on in Ukraine. And I didn't even know they were the breadbasket of the world. Like, when did that happen? When I was a child, there was still amber waves of grain. You could still find things other than corn and soy and corn and soy and corn and soy. And in my opinion, the farmers sold us out. These farmers, who the average age of now is 60, they sold us out. And it wasn't all their fault. Like, they were kind of cornered in a lot of ways with regulations. So I'm not saying that they're greedy themselves, but this is what has happened with our systems. And now we're fighting over stuff that really, like, when we could be getting to the root of the problem, especially now the average American farmer is about to turn 60. There's all these talks in these women's group. Oh, now I need to keep my daughter safe. I need to teach my daughter to be really careful with her body. Like, isn't this something we should have been doing all along? I got pregnant on accident when I was 19, and most people told me to abort him. We are a country full of people, and hey Matt, they, with different experiences, and like everybody that I know, when I got pregnant on accident, okay, I shouldn't say everybody I know, most everybody I know, like 80-90% were encouraging me to abort him. And in my opinion, we need to change our society to where we actually celebrate new life. We actually encourage people, boys included. I teach my boys your body is precious and it matters who you share it with. It matters on a soul level. You create ties with people for the rest of your life. You could have a baby for the rest of your life. I don't want any grandkids out there that I don't ever hardly get to see because of a night of pleasure. And it will feel better. You will have better intimacy if you are choosier with who you're with. Like, this is something that we should have always been teaching our youth. And it's funny. I shouldn't say it's funny to me. It's just a sign of the times when you see, I'm going to protect my daughter. I'm going to teach her to be safe. I'm going to teach her to use more than one kind of birth control if she doesn't want to get pregnant. Absolutely. These are things that should be done already. And we're like focusing on this fear mongering that's going to be creating unhealthy cell development in people. After 911, I feel like I can't say anything. CANCER rates skyrocketed in the decade after that because we as a nation were so stressed out. You don't think the same thing's going to happen now after 2020? And then the up and down with the politics, that's what they want. They want us in this constant, like, up and down and this mass psychosis that benefits them and puts us, like, in our serfdom. Like, we're never gonna like do what we could do and boycott, vote with our dollar. And I agree, Matt. I personally, I'm pro-life, but I don't think that that choice should be taken away in every situation for every woman. And maybe it wouldn't have been if things were a little different with our society. And that's not blaming the women that did it. It's like our whole society. Because I, as a woman who got pregnant on accident, I seriously considered it, and I can't blame any woman who has been in that spot, especially like unplanned. Pregnancies are super hard to deal with, and one reason is because of the way the society treats new life. It's a shame. And so we can take our control back, and part of that is not letting them divide and conquer us. Part of that is not letting them tell us we're not going to spend Thanksgiving with our family members that think differently than us. They, this side that thought that the other side was so intolerant or becoming what they hate, and they're the most intolerant ones. Like there's somebody in my family I can't have a discussion with, and now I feel like I'm not going to be able to have one discussion for the next 4 years because every single thing she could stub her toe, and it's Trump's fault. Like I'm not kidding. I was saying, I feel like I'm not ever going to go. I've been furloughed, and they keep furloughing me month after month. And I'm like, I feel like I'm never going to go back to work because this economy is so bad. What do you mean? This person said to me, the economy is great. And I'm like, no, it's not. People can't afford to buy the things we're manufacturing. So it makes sense. Like there's no orders for us to fill, or we would be back. They brought back another shift, but they're not bringing back my shift. And I'm worried. It was the best job I ever had, best benefits I've ever had. My whole family relies on those benefits. And it's like the economy is great because Wall Street said so. And it's like we live in two different realities. It's literally like two different dimensions taking place. And your feelings are valid. If you're upset, you're allowed to be upset. But to act like people are going to go to like detainment camps, and she told my sons Trump is going to take away public schools. Like what? The I'm sorry, it's like we like Chicken Little, like there's a sky falling down, Henny Penny. What is going on in people's brains that really think somebody's going to take away public? They're going to bring back they're going to take away no fault divorce. That's one going around right now. No, they're not. Do you really think these rich men that cheat on their wives every 5 years are going to want to take away no fault divorce? I'm sorry, but they're not. That's not going to happen. You're letting this poison your brain, therefore the cells of your body. We're all going through something, good versus evil, whatever it is in your life. And for, some of these people, it's this politics, it's a political divide. And it's like, are you going to let the evil win? You're letting the evil in your life win. The more upset you get about this, the more fear mongering you encourage in other people's hearts. It's horrible. I don't want my children to feel anything, but if they work hard enough, they can achieve whatever they want. It's America, right? Right? And I feel like, I'm sorry, I'm not reading all the comments. Hi, Emily. How are you? I feel like this country has become so polarized, and it's now just a pointing match. It's like children on the playground. Yes, Matt, I agree. And I wish we had more choices overall. But then again, would things be even worse if we had more choices? And like this person I'm talking about is my mom, okay? And she is the best mom and grandma in certain aspects. That's what is so enraging. She taught me, this woman is who taught me we live in a country with a system of checks and balances. And it's good that people think differently. It's good there's always somebody that thinks the exact opposite of you, because that's what helps check and balance each other out. When Obama and Hillary were running against each other, she walked around with a book talking about how horrible Hillary Clinton was, and how, like all the people they had offed, and like the Secret Service members that worked for them. She was telling me all these things that I didn't know. And then 4 years later, when it was Hillary versus Trump, it was like, I mean, that's when I started seeing it. I'm like, no, she's a well-read, smart person. She taught me that this system is beneficial to us all. And now she's one of those people saying they're going to shut down all public schools. Hey, gal. I mean, Gail. I called you gal. Gal too, right? So I just was in a mood when I saw this video from a creator that I really supported for a long time, and I unsubscribed because the rhetoric, it was just so insane. Like, I want people to have their own opinions and perspectives and to be able to respect that. But when you're saying things that are absolutely insane, like people are going to go to detainment camps, and this is somebody that was already president for 4 years, and then somebody brought that up. They're like, he's been president before. Like, what is going on, and why do you think this is going to happen? Yeah, Akar, I am. And the the way I wanted to end this, I only have 20 minutes, is I feel like people are doing the divide the wrong things. Like if you really want to be self-sustainable, if you really wanna kick it to the man, like we all do, I don't trust any politician, guys. I don't. In 2012, I went to see a group of them speak because I was injured by a certain kind of medicine, and then they're like, "You be nice to pharma. You catch more flies with honey." And I was like, "What?" And that's when I realized that corporations for a long time, for at least a few decades now, they've been lobbying, they rule our government. Pharma and oil rules everything. They rule the world. The government are just little peons put in place to make us think they're gonna do something for us when most of the time they don't. We've been through a lot. We had an illegal lien put on our first home. Like, the government doesn't care about us, either side. They don't care about you. And the ones that do, the few politicians that I feel like aren't corrupted, like, they don't get any power. They're never put in any places of power like they should be because they actually have good hearts. And, yeah, Henry, I was actually relieved. I'll admit it. I was, severely relieved because I don't see this going downhill. I see it going downhill if the other side would have won. And I don't wanna say that on my channel because I don't want people to feel like they're not welcome here because I'm not. I don't think if you don't think like me, you shouldn't be here. It's not like that. That's so un-American, and it's shocking the divide. Okay, if you really wanna like build this economy back up like from the inside, if you really want to do something that's going to be like, you become a homesteader, you buy some land, grow your own food. That's the only way we can get ourselves out of this. Get some solar panels. Stop giving so much money to the utility companies. Like, we had good enough credit to buy a house, but we had to pay a $600 deposit to get our electricity turned on. Like, and we've had 2 decades. We've never been shut off in any electric company. That doesn't matter. Why doesn't it get put on your credit score when you've never been evicted or had any shutoffs before? Like, why doesn't that matter? Why doesn't it matter when you've like traded in, paid off like several cars? Like, that doesn't, you don't get credit for anything that you actually do that's good for the economy. A credit is a big game. It's a game to keep you down. It's a game to keep you financing things and pay most of your money in interest. And if we could have the mindset where we're like, let's like, my dream would be to develop this property. We're on an acre right now. The property line doesn't go, um, the property line doesn't go that far into the woods. It's mostly open, you know, tillable pasture. And I would love to develop this and like not sell it for as much as we possibly can because that's the best way you can climb up the ladder here in America as a homeowner. But to be able to pass it along to somebody that couldn't otherwise get it or buy it. And for us to create a movement where like I don't know if you guys know who Bush Radical is, but him and his wife build cabins off grid. And like I would love to do that like homesteading style, like build little homesteads and pass them along to people so we can all be more self-sufficient. Like I live in the middle of farmland. It's still like I think there should be more CSAs. There should be more community gardens, especially with the climate increasing. Like we could grow food 8, 9 months a year easily, especially with greenhouses. Everything should be local. We should be starting movements to localize as much of this. Well, food is the most important thing. You can't really kick it to the man if you're dependent on the food, right? So it's like to see people get in over their heads, in my opinion, and give their good health away. Like, you are causing your health to go down the crapper because of all this insane rhetoric. Like, just try to think of it like that. If you're really upset, like, 4 years is gonna pass, and it shouldn't ever affect you this much. I get it, it is important, it's very important, but at the same time, your goals, your intentions, what you've got going on in your life is exponentially more important, and this to see people literally say it's like Civil War stuff, like, we're not gonna talk to them, that's it. They're making all people a monolith, all white women or white uneducated women, which I would fall into that category even though I started college when I was 16 just because I never got a college degree. I still have, like, 3.5 years of college under my belt, and it's just insane how they're becoming what they hate, and they're pointing the finger and putting people into boxes. Being racist, that's my definition of racism, is looking at somebody and thinking anything of them, even if it's something good. Even if you look at a black man and you're like, "Oh, he must be good at basketball. He's black and tall." I don't think that that's right. I don't your character, who somebody proves you to be to you, that's what matters. It should never be a judgment. "Oh, you're black, you must vote Democrat." Like, that is so racist. Say whatever you want about Trump. He wasn't he the first person that, like, made it so black people could go to country clubs or golf clubs or whatever? He's clearly not racist. He's from the biggest melting pot probably in the world, New York City. I'm sorry if in your heart you really feel like we have a racist president, that's awful, but you half the country isn't wrong. Okay, I'm gonna read a few of the comments. It's so hard to become a homeowner for the last few years in my early 20s and have no hope of owning a house anytime soon, if at all. Well, Matt, there's alternatives. Just keep in mind, like, so many tiny houses are overpriced. So don't go get a $70,000 tiny house. But there are alternatives. You could build your own little cabin. You could get an RV. There's so many people living on plots of land in RVs here. And they're probably saving up their money till they can build a house. They're still affordable, but 3 two-bedroom houses being built around here. There's lots of options, Matt, but I do feel for you. I have kids that are almost in their 20s, so I get it. It's not right. I would recommend to try to do whatever you can not to throw your money away in rent and, like, pay somebody else's mortgage and property taxes. I know that's hard depending on your situation, but yeah, we have to make some sacrifices. It might be a few years that you have certain amenities you don't have certain amenities you want, but you will be better off in the long run if you can hunker down, especially as a single person. And RVs are hard to maintain, like, they can get mold easily. RVs are hard to keep warm. You might think you're saving money, but you're not saving money if you're spending so much money to heat a space. That's another thing I've seen. I heard from a few people around here that do live in RVs. Oh, thank you, Aman. That's really nice. Um, KSF, if you're talking about the news channel, um, don't really watch it. We make sacrifices we need to. You've earned a lot of respect from me. Oh, thank you, Matt. That's really sweet. And I hope that everybody sees the point of this video is like in my heart, it makes me sad to see people get so upset over something they cannot change when we are in a really bad place. And then you see people just say it. Like, I knew this is what they were thinking, but now it's like they're actually saying it. Just get a better job. You can't afford eggs and bread. Get a better job. I'm like, no, we got chickens. Like that's, and sincerely, like, yes, that was expensive. It was like $600 to build the enclosure, but like their bedding and their feed is still like besides the enclosure, they pay for themselves the amount of eggs we get and the amount of money we have to put into their feed and their bedding every month. And I'd like to start growing a lot of their feed. And uh if it's a racist country, KSF. Well, no, there's plenty of interracial relationships, if that's what you're getting at. That's another thing. No, we do not. I know there's some people that have hateful hearts. Yes, there's definitely a lot of hateful people that get used to their, environments, their little microclimates where there's nothing but white people around. And yeah, they're hateful and prejudiced. It comes out of them a lot. But America as a whole, we're a melting pot. Most of us are used to being around all other cultures all the time and feel more at home when we're around other cultures most of the time. In big cities, it can be so great. I'm from Louisville. I love Louisville. And part of it is like the mix of people there. And the other town I grew up the most in was a college university town, same thing. Well, Henry, what used to be, I don't know what you mean by smart when you say, will he allow smart immigrants? I think it should be like it was before, like you should at least have to know English because there's schools where like half the kids can't speak English. And I think that's wrong for the kids. That's not right. It's not fair to anybody involved. We don't pay taxes, so they can juggle half the school's population and can't speak English. And call me hateful all you want. Like I know I'm right. I know that's the truth. It's not conducive to learning for anybody, including those kids who are innocent in this. They didn't choose this when their parents brought them here, but it's their parents as well. They get jobs and like just not learning. I couldn't imagine moving to a country. It's like flipping the bird to everybody that lives there. It really is. And like getting a job and just like, and yeah, I'm not going to say what I want to say because then people will call me hateful, but like, sometimes it's used to their advantage. Let's just say that. And I think it should be like when my grandparents immigrated here in the 50s, they went to college. You should say, I have this career path or I want to go to college for this. And this whole like they do jobs we don't want to do. It's not right. No, I'm sorry. There's plenty of white people of all races in our country. Every factory, warehouse. I've worked at 2 warehouses, at 1 distribution center, a few factories. There was people of all races, literally all races, Asian, black, white, like Indian. Um, Anyways, I heard you say white woman is hardly be successful in education. Oh no, Akar, I said that a lot of people are saying that the women who voted for Trump we're white and uneducated. That's like some rhetoric that's going around. And people are literally saying, women of color are saying they are going to ignore absolutely all white women because so many of them voted for Trump, but they're like painting a monolith over all white women, all black men, because a lot of black men chose not to vote. 95% of black women that voted for Kamala. So now they're wanting to like boycott other genders and races. It's wild to me. And it's also kind of funny because the red pill people, the people on the right, the jerks on the right that said stuff like women shouldn't be able to vote. I'd love to know what they think about women being the ones that were basically responsible for voting. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that because I know that Amish showed up this time. I told my mom that wait, Pennsylvania might turn red because there's a lot of Amish registering, stuff's going down when it comes to farms. Most people aren't paying any attention to. This is so important to us. Our food, what feeds us, that's way more important than so much of the stuff that people fight about. Yes, and Matt, I know what you mean. Even in small towns in the middle of Kentucky, there's people of every race and people still have lawn jockeys here. I don't like that. And I think that, you know what I mean? Like it's a little harkens back to like a racist era. It's like, I- so I get it. I get why people think, oh, there's like some backwards hillbillies, that it's just like people are still kind of like stuck in a certain era when things haven't been, there's not as many advancements in certain places. But even so, there's plenty of black people that own businesses around here and everything. So, yeah, I just wanna, like, clarify that. They're saying that white women who do not have college degrees voted for Trump so much that now, like, we need to be put in our place and learn a lesson or whatever. And I think that, like, the right-leaning red pill people that say that women shouldn't be able to vote because we're too emotional, I just wanna hear what some of their opinions are on that, because I think the same thing happened the first time Trump won. I wanna say that there was a lot of talk about how many women, in particular white, I don't like that. Technically, I'm white. Most of my life, there's been no box for me because in the boxes here in the US, it'll be like white, not Hispanic in parentheses or Hispanic. I am a quarter Hispanic. There's literally no box for me most of the time. Just recently, they started making boxes that were two or more races, and a lot of times they'll say two or more races, not Hispanic in the parentheses. It's like they're trying everything they can do to make the numbers look like less. I don't know. But there's plenty of people here that are white, but we're really like mixed race. We're a quarter of something else, and there's no box for us. Okay, I need to wrap this up, and I really appreciate you guys watching. I hope my point came across that, he who feeds the world rules the world. Is that the saying? We need to pay attention to the stuff that matters. And I'm excited. I'm glad Thomas Massey is the Secretary of Agriculture, head of agriculture, and then he appointed Joel Salatin to be an advisor of his. That is huge. That is great. That is what's going to help us come back from this, because I'm not trying to be mean, but the brain manipulating the chemicals they know cause behavioral issues, therefore they're outlawed in Canada, our neighbors north. They're outlawed in Europe. All these chemicals they put in our food and food dyes they put in our food. Now most of us can't afford to eat anything but the crappy food. We're in that boat. We are buying food that I would have never bought before because we can't afford the organic, chemical-free, dye-free food as much as we used to. Sure, I eat whole food, of course. I don't want you guys to think that, like, I'm just saying, like, I'm no better than anybody that does eat that stuff, that does feed it to my kids. If I had a disposable income, I would never feed my kids one product containing GMOs. I just wouldn't, just to err on the side of safety, because I don't think it's necessarily healthy or been proven to be. Okay, I'm going to read one more comment from Matt. He's been leaving lots of good comments. We become a melting pot of a country, and I think for the better. Like I said, in the middle of nowhere, I can still experience and learn about other cultures. Can you please tell me how to improve English communication? Oh, Amon, have you tried, well, you being on a YouTube channel with an English speaking person, I'm not good at learning other languages myself. I couldn't learn Spanish. I tried really hard. Conjugating the verbs was hard for me, but I find listening to Spanish music, like I like Shakira and Shakira's Spanish albums, learning the words and then translating that kind of helped, like immersing yourself in like TV shows, movies, music might help. Um, but yeah, good luck with that if that's a goal of yours. You're doing great writing in English. And I agree with you, Matt. It's a beautiful thing. What we have here is an absolutely beautiful thing, and I'm not letting anybody turn it into anything else in my kids' heads, at least. And I hope the same, for you all. Like, we deserve to see the opportunity that we have and not let anybody take that away from us in the form of fear mongering and manipulating the thoughts. Like I've said in my past few videos, your thoughts affect you on a cellular level. And I hope that this can at least be a learning lesson to a lot of people, like, to get yourself out of your own head and, like, what you put in and around your body matters. Having people like Thomas Massey and Joel Salatin in our agriculture departments, like, things are gonna get better, whether you like it or not, whether you wanna admit it or not. Like, this is looking up because so much of what is going on, so much of the mental health issues, in my heart, I know it comes from the root of the problem is our food, what we put in our bodies the most. Okay. One more comment for Matt. Being with around those speaking that language is great. Being on YouTube is a great start. Working with Spanish speakers is what got me to start learning Spanish and learn so much from them. Yeah, exactly. You really have to, like the apps and the books aren't going to teach you as much as really immersing yourself with people who speak the language. I know tons of Spanish words, but it's so hard for me to talk to anybody. So stop abusing animals. Are you talking about my chickens? Okay. I'm gonna let you guys go now, and I hope you have a great week. And we can gear this just so everybody knows this channel is gonna be like really geared in the direction of like homesteading and starting from scratch. And like the time is now if you want to start a garden for next year. It really is. Thank you, Matt. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day too. And I really hope my message came across sincerely the way it was supposed to. I'm not looking down on anybody. I understand we all come from our own background of experience. We were all born innocent babies. We were all experienced things that shaped our minds and our opinions. But like, okay, I'm gonna say one more thing. I saw in this comment on this channel where people are talking about boycotting white women that um they were saying like, put 2 points, all of our money into only Black-owned businesses in this economy, like, avoid putting any money into the Trump economy. Like, do you not think Black-owned businesses are a part of the Trump economy? Like, what sense does that make? And I think it's great to focus on buying local, and, like, if you can't do absolutely everything local for yourself, like, what changes are you actually making? And, now, of course, I forgot my second point, but that was a big point, was, like, we can vote with our dollar, and it would be great if we sincerely did that. Like, we could change the prices of food. If just like 30% of us put our feet down and said, we're not buying anything from the grocery store for a few weeks and protest of these egregious prices, and like we could make a difference. But we can't seem to like come together, and that's why they did make all this division in our country because they know. And in my opinion, that's why they're taking away TikTok. I'm not a big TikToker. I don't ever get on TikTok, but the conversations that are being had on TikTok, like, some of them are valuable. A lot of crap goes on, a lot of selling crap goes on there too, but, like, people talking about why health insurance is a scam and stuff like that, and really opening up and having these big conversations on these big platforms, that's why they wanna do away with it. They don't care about people's data, they don't care about your privacy. Anyways, yeah, once again, registered independent here. I support you, and no matter what you think, I just don't support anybody telling my kids these fear-mongering things. Doesn't help anybody. Sadly, I don't think that'll happen. It's becoming too convenient for people that they've become complacent. Yes, but even if just a small portion of us, in statistics, 1 to 10% can be significant. I know what you mean, Matt. So many people have their heads buried in the sand. It's way too easy for them. I do Instacart. I'm about to quit it, but like, yeah, it's like either or. It's like either people order, like 24 packs of soda and nothing but crap, or they get like produce and good cuts of meat and like no soda. And so I know that sounds like I'm, like, talking down on people. I used to drink soda every day too, and that's what I'm saying, like, I have all these autoimmune conditions. I healed my PCOS, most common cause of infertility in women in the US, and I just know it was dietary related. So, for the, like, 5th time, now I'm being like my grandma, "I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go." I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.